Knowledge is power. Make an impact by learning more, or hire us to do it for you. Let us focus on what we do best so you can stay focused on what you do best. Find all of our options under services, one-to-one training, subscription-based training, or accounting and business consulting. I am in the process of going live on Facebook, so we'll get started in about 20 minutes.
Love that. So who else had problems with Zoom earlier this week?
Well, Zoom went down. Their whole system was down. But they were good about notifying. I went right over to their Twitter account, and there was a post with a link that made it very clear how you could go over to a page to get status updates.
I got none of that. I was just ready to start a Zoom and couldn't.
Yeah, no, after I tried several different meetings, and I was like, and you know, I eventually checked because I was like, this seems more like a system thing. I don't think it's me, it's them. And I was right.
Communication makes all the difference, doesn't it?
Sure does. It sure does. Yeah, no, after I tried several different meetings.
We're live on Facebook, right?
Yeah, I know, I'm almost there, but you know how it doesn't actually take me to the video feed?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get there so I can share that into the group.
Mm-hmm.
These are the voyages of the Nerd Enterprise. Come on, that was good. That was a Star Trek reference.
It was. It was. I'm still just stuck on you need a plan B for Zoom. I was so used to Zoom just working and working.
I don't think it's that bad. I mean,
I don't believe that that's going to be the new status quo.
Yeah, I don't think it's that bad. I think we just got, they just had a system outage. These things happen. But by and large, Zoom works great. I wouldn't get too down on Zoom just yet. No, not on my timeline. In a group between.
But you're right. Sometimes we need a plan B because if it's critical.
It was for me. I was in the middle of trying to help them reconnect their bank connections in QBO, which I seem to be doing a lot these days.
Yeah. Oop, got more people to let in.
Gina, I always have, I haven't ever stopped paying my go-to meeting. I always pay for that every year. So I always have a plan B between Zoom and GoToMeeting. It's just worth it since we're virtual and that's how we meet everybody. So I always have a plan B.
You are right, Mariette. You are absolutely right.
My
same thing with the
Skype.
internet.
My plan B is Skype. Also, Slack.
Oh,
you
yeah,
can do
Skype.
video calls in Slack.
True.
So if you have your clients in Slack, there's that.
True. Yeah.
I tried using join.me when Zoom was down this week, and apparently my free trial expired like 6 years ago. So.
That was my problem.
You know, if I have the budget, I would have two ways to the internet. I'd have cable, and then I'd have a backup with DSL, you know. But with hotspots, now with hotspots and laptops, we can survive. We can switch over, you know.
Oh, yeah. I never use public Wi-Fi. I always turn my phone into a hotspot now.
Yeah.
It's more secure. So
Comcast around here now has a service that if you use their business, they will guarantee you a connection even if you lose your wired connection. They use a G. Like a hotspot. They use the telephone, the G whatever system.
Oh, really? That's interesting. You know, when I looked into having a business account, but the cable coming onto this island is one cable for individuals and business. So if there's a severe cut, paying all that extra money for a business account doesn't help.
Right, right.
So here's how I look at all this. If with all the technology I have around me, I can't get on the internet one day, that's God's way of telling me it's time to take a break.
Yep.
I've been going with that more and more lately. However, I do have a plan B, which is a workspace that I can go to if I have a real need.
January is a scary time because we don't have enough time to get all this work out by the 3rd.
So, and actually, speaking of January and being a tough time, is the IRS shutdown included as part of the whole government shutdown?
Parts
You
of it.
are so behind the scenes, Seth. Yes.
Parts
They
of it.
claim that they're giving out refunds, though. Dennis?
Supposedly, you're going to have to call back people that are not going to get paid. I know that I can't fax anything to them, so it's kind of slowing me down in terms of trying to do IRS representation. I'm not sure if they're going to. I've got clients that need to mail stuff, but I'm kind of reluctant to tell them to do it because I don't know if anybody's collecting the mail, if this is going to, land on a loading dock somewhere. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
the
Overflow
IRS is operating at 12% right now.
I heard.
Practitioner priority is down. I tried to call them concerning a massive issue I have. I had a client mail a hugely important 2015 amended, well, not amended return, regular return the other day, which I'm terrified isn't going to show up. So
well,
yeah, they're definitely down.
I always send stuff by certified mail to the IRS, but I'm not sure if there's anybody that's certified that got it.
Yeah. What
Can't be
about, I think one of the reasons that our deadline for W-2s and 1099s was moved up to the January 31st was that refunds, because of so much fraud, refunds aren't issued until after January 31st.
Yep.
So
Well,
I'm hoping that, let's pray that this shutdown doesn't go past the end of the month, because if they're issuing refunds, they wouldn't be issuing refunds now anyway, would they?
well, before you get to a refund, don't you have to file your return?
Yeah, I mean, isn't that when refunds are issued? Once you file, if a refund is due?
Yeah, but are they accepting
Do they
returns being
accept?
filed?
Do they accept tax returns in the month of January? I didn't think,
Right.
I thought that went away.
After the filing, I mean, when the filing season is supposed to start on the 28th.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean.
Yeah. So, it
So-
would be interesting.
They wouldn't be issuing refunds right now anyway.
So why would they even bring that up and
No,
Because-
don't they issue a refund once they accept your return and assuming one is due?
They don't accept your return until after the 28th.
Okay,
Well,
so
the
that's
way-
the real issue is they're not accepting returns.
They
Well,
never have.
the way-
I mean, they
The big issue was that they weren't going to issue refunds. And so they've come back and said, we will issue refunds. And in regards to when it opens, that's always been the case. We've always had to wait to get them to the special date of when they're going to open. And it's always been around the 25th or 27th. So nothing's really changed. And in regards to filing on the 27th and getting refunded on the 27th, of course you can do that, because most big payroll companies like ADP and Paychex, they already have W-2s ready for you to file your return. So you can ideally go file your return on the 27th, and based on the IRS new notice, you can also get a refund if you are eligible for a refund. That's all that's happening, which is nothing that's ever been different than any other year. What's big and different is the other shutdown of everybody else that you can't work with. That's what's big.
The problem is once the auditors get in there, they'll find out the government's broken. You're not going to get anything anyway.
So it sounds like this is a good year to commit fraud because there's limited.
Well, I would think so. That right
Seth,
now.
that's a wonderful thing to be putting out there live.
Well,
Of course,
I mean,
I'm all about being of service and pointing out the loophole.
well, I was thinking because it's short staff.
It's a good year for kiting.
Well, when they get back to work, there's going to be a ton of backup that has to be done. So I don't know. I mean, I think the stuff is just sort of piling up right now.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, if this stupid shutdown goes past end of February, we are really screwed.
We're really screwed anyway until we get a new president.
see
Well,
the-
did I say that out loud?
Did
Yeah.
you see that
Sorry.
the FDA has laid off staff, and so better wash your salads, I guess.
All right. On that note, let's say hi to some of the people joining us live. Most of the people who joined us live are now in the panel, but hi, Sarah Privos. For some reason, she's not in our panel, but she is watching live.
You may not be home
Brad has
or at her office.
Brad has been telling me that he's been wanting to join. Brad, you're there live. You can go into the Between Wall and Main Strategy Forum and find the registration link. It's one of the more recent posts, and I actually pinned it as an announcement in the group. So you can easily find the link to register there. And James Hobbs, welcome. Glad you're all here. And I'm glad you're all here on the panel. And I want to take this opportunity to really thank those of you who participated in Matt's little birthday surprise for me on Monday. It was really,
Wasn't that cool?
it was
That
really
was so fun. I wish I had a little bit of notice ahead of time. I just
Yeah.
walked back in my office and saw it and said, okay, jump on. But it
Yeah,
was fun.
I think, I was talking, actually, Matthew and I had dinner the other night, and we were talking about it. And I think the thinking was, and I tend to agree, if you give people too much notice, it's like they're going to sort of overplan and then they're not going to make it. But giving them just a little bit of notice, especially when there was like a 20-minute window to do it, it sounds like that.
Yeah, I was in a meeting and I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, well, cancel. Get your priorities straight. Cancel a meeting. I'm more important. You just have to tell them, look, they're doing something for Seth David's birthday. I mean, it's like a national holiday here.
Well, I'm glad that I was able to say happy birthday to you on there.
That was seriously one of the coolest things anybody's ever done for me for my birthday.
It was almost as fun as the when we all had your face on sticks.
Oh, that was hilarious. That was actually hilarious. Matthew was great with the prank. Speaking of which, where is he this morning?
He's
Linda?
probably sleeping. I think he's
Where's the
sleeping.
troublemaker?
Linda, you're kind of like his partner in crime out here. Where is he?
I think he's sleeping.
Okay. Well,
He had a rough night the other night when he went out to dinner with you.
oh yeah, we did. I kept him up late, and
Yeah.
I introduced him to downtown Burbank, and it's funny. Somehow we were heading to the Starbucks after we had dinner, and somehow we wound up stopping in the candy store they have there. They have this candy store that is just amazing. It's like just wall to wall, all kinds of candy, hard candy, soft candy, jelly beans, candy corn, anything you can imagine. They have in this little candy store right in the main strip in downtown Burbank. James says I should run for president. No, I don't want that job.
You can get decaffeinated coffee. You can't get unsugared. Well, I guess you could get sugar-free candy.
Oh, she's got her
She
mask.
still has her face mask. That's
Yes, I still have mine.
all right. So who wants to answer some questions? We've got, first of all, Mariette, where are you? So Mariette, I'll look at the questions that people filled out in the registration. Mariette,
I'm here. I'm
said
just driving, but I'm here.
you said you wanted to go over how to complete the goal sheet, but that's more of a 97 and up thing. You wanted to do that
Yeah,
here?
I'm just gonna keep on messing with you.
Got it. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. So, and for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, 97 and up, the very beginning of the course that you take walks you through a whole exercise, which includes both setting goals and then a time management exercise, and then setting up your sort of financial plan or your financial goals. And that all rolls up into a daily goal sheet so that every day you're looking at it, comparing how much money came in that day with what your daily goal is, and it tracks it all. And it's just beautiful. It's something I created. It's my way of making finances great again. So I'm on a roll this morning. I'm on a Trump trip. I should stop. I don't want to get into a political debate with anyone today. Anyway,
I've already
so
wasted an hour this morning.
I have
Being triggered.
neatly evaded all of that kind of stuff for months now. I barely even look at the news, because as soon as I go into my feed and I see all the political stuff, I'm like, nope, I don't have time for this. It's going to get me sucked in, and I have more important things to do that I actually can control. So
Right. That's the thing. Things that you cannot control not be affecting your emotions or your productivity.
well, we learn that a lot in recovery. We have the Serenity Prayer, which is where we say, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to
know the difference. Yep.
So here's Sarah Prevost.
That's taped to my monitor, by the way. That prayer.
I kind of live by that. I throughout the day, I'm constantly asking myself, is this something I have any control over? If the answer is no, I just move on, And I've been much better this year so far about meditating every morning, and that really helps too. The meditation that I do is a deep concentration meditation, and it really helps me stay focused. It just gets you in that mindset all day, and it gives you a focal point so that if I find myself getting distracted, I know how to bring it back and recenter everything.
I can't do that in the morning. I fall right back to sleep.
Well, because there's different kinds. So this is a deep concentration one, which is actually centered around the idea of not only being awake, but being very focused. At night, there's a deep sleep, deep relaxation one that I do, and that definitely puts me to sleep instantly. So I use calm.com, as most of you know, and it's great.
Oh, that's right. That's where I got that app. That was you.
Mm-hmm. So you can kind of choose. There's a lot of different sort of subject matters, and they made a lot of improvements to the app over the years. It just keeps getting better. Now they even give you the name of the person who's narrating, so you can properly cyberstalk them if you wanted to, I suppose. I thought that was funny because there's one woman in particular, I really like her voice. I find it very soothing, which is obviously part of the idea. Speaking of which, Mike Henninger, you should be doing like a narration for a meditation. Unmute. I want to hear you. I want to hear you. I want to hear you say something like, "Okay, now everybody relax."
I'd have to be the one relaxed first. Happen.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, let's answer our first question of the day. By the way, the other questions on signups. Linda wanted to know my signature dance move. That's an excellent question. I have to think about that, and I have to actually work on it. I suppose it might be something like this. Well, remember, I have a video of me doing something like that.
With Mike Mylan. That's what I want to know. Can you share that video?
No, there's one of me, like at the QuickBooks Connect before last year, where I was talking to, I think it was Jennifer Hetherington from T-Sheets. And somebody got video of me doing this little dance. It was like when they had the T-Sheets party in that club that they have it at. Anyway, that would be probably be the correct answer. I have to go dig that video up and find it. So the other one was Gina says, I passed my I'm not a robot test. I am not a robot. Okay, first question from the group. This was from Barbara Richardson on January 3rd. She asked, I have a client who would like a daily cash flow report. Any apps or systems out there that you are all loving? And Greg chimed in immediately with, of course, cashflowtool.com. And I think that's great too. Excuse me, if you haven't seen the videos, or better yet, taken a free trial of this thing, watch a video or take a free trial of this thing. You can actually go, addressing her question very specifically, there's a cash flow calendar where it uses its algorithms to predict what's going to come in and go out. In other words, it's not like the traditional based on due dates, which is kind of pointless, as we all know, right? Because due dates don't mean crap in the real world, in terms of when you're actually going to get paid or when you're actually going to pay something. So the cash flow calendar and cashflowtool.com at large uses algorithms to predict based on patterns and what's sort of typical, when and what will go in or come out. And you can actually alter that. So you can go in and say, no, I know better. I know that I just got an email that somebody paid me via QuickBooks payments, and I know that takes about 2 days to hit my bank account. So you can go in and adjust it and look at the week ahead and very easily and quickly plot out your daily cash flow. So if you need a quick daily cash flow analysis, that's probably the best way. Anybody else? Everybody's quiet? Everybody's muted. So if you are trying to say something.
I have a question on that cash flow tools. Is that the old Finagraph, or is that?
Well, it's not Finagraph. It's made by the same company, Finagraph, but it's a totally different tool.
So does Finagraph still exist, or is that?
Yeah, Finagraph still exists. Finagraph is the company.
Right.
So
okay.
Finagraph used to have, the company, there's actually a different, incorporated name, legal name, whatever. But Finagraph is the company. They made Cashflow Tool. And little by little, they're taking what was in the old Finagraph and incorporating it into cashflowtool.com. So,
how about Flight? Has that been rolled into Cashflow Tool?
Flight is Cashflow Tool. They just renamed and rebranded it.
Oh, okay.
They kind of beta tested it under the name Flight, and then when they were happy with it, they turned it into cashflowtool.com.
Okay.
I heard a lot about LivePlan, but I haven't looked into it yet. I heard a lot about it at council. A lot of people talked about it and love it, and I think it's got cash flow in it, but I haven't. I think Heather
has a forecasting tool. I've played with it on and off a lot over the years. I always like it because it gives you the entire business plan model, right? So it's much more than just predicting cash flow. If you need a business plan, if you think you're going to be looking for financing, be it from a bank or an investor, then definitely you want to use LivePlan, because LivePlan actually walks you through the process of the whole thing. A business plan goes far beyond the financial part, and you have to do write-ups on management, who are management, and the idea is to explain why this company is going to be so well run because of the amazing people it has managing it. And LivePlan walks you through how to write that stuff and gives you the kind of templates to just, so you just fill it all in. And then it's called LivePlan because these things change and evolve. So any given time, you just jump in, make whatever updates, and it's just always there. On the financial forecasting part, I think it's a little overly complex to use it for a daily cash flow report. But, and one of the things that I end up always going back to my spreadsheets over when I get into LivePlan is with LivePlan, to do your projections, you have to kind of go deep into the model to build something out. And then it's like you have to back out and see it. And I just feel like it's too many steps. Like a spreadsheet is so easy because I can just update a schedule or write a new formula or build a new assumption and flow that through a formula over to the P&L. And I just find it easier, probably because I'm pretty good with a spreadsheet, to do spreadsheets. But LivePlan is an awesome tool. It's definitely worth it.
Chata. Is Chata have cash flow? Chata?
No,
Yeah.
Chata is just reports. Chata is historical, not future. Like I like what Deborah Kilsheimer says, when we're talking about forecasting versus like traditional reporting, the difference is, traditional reporting, we're looking at a history report. And when we get into forecasting, like what cashflowtool.com does, then we're looking at let's make history report, right?
Yeah.
That's I like the way she underscores the difference that way. But yeah, so LivePlan's a great tool for that. The one that I looked at that I really loved at QuickBooks Connect, but it's pricey. It's more sophisticated for bigger companies, but it really lets you do formulas with a live constant link and feed from QBO, is Jirav, Jirav as in Victor, Jirav. It's expensive. So you're not going to use this for a client unless that client's paying you. Like I have a couple clients that pay like $5,000 a month because we do it all from the bookkeeping all the way up to the CFO level services. And then at that level, it's worth paying for the Jirav app, which I'll be honest, I haven't done it yet, but I'm planning to implement it this year because I looked at it at QuickBooks Connect and was kind of blown away by what this thing can do. They also have a scaled down product. And by scaled down, I just mean in comparison to their full tool, which is $500 a month, which is about $100 a month, which seems to give you a pretty slick dashboard that your clients are going to like. I know we're all trying to get to this place where we've got this perfect visual that we can give a client so they instantly know what's going on with their business. Good luck ever actually finding that in its true form, but I imagine we'll keep trying to get closer and closer to that. Damn it, I left my spoon in the other room. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll be back in 10 seconds.
How's everybody surviving?
I'm freezing here on the Northeast.
I had socks on, so it's cold here too, right, Janice? It's cold. Wake up.
Out here in California, it's about 60 or so.
Yeah, here too.
Linda, are you standing?
I am. I'm not walking the treadmill though. I'm not.
You have a standing desk too?
Yeah, I got the cheap one. You have to actually get the upper body workout.
Oh yeah, the very desk. It's not cheap. I have the same one.
No, I don't have the very one. I have a $150 one because I didn't want to invest in it and then find out
I have a cheap one too, like Linda does, and it's a good core workout in the
when you lift it.
when you lift it.
You guys got to watch the video I did yesterday on my new under the desk treadmill. It's hilarious.
You look like you were running though. I think you're supposed to walk slow. I think Michael Callahan walks 11 miles in a day on that thing. I'm not coordinated enough to walk and chew gum. So
you know what? Let me tell you, I walked for an hour and a half while I responded to about 30 emails, and I went ahead and finished a PowerPoint. So you can do the coordination. Let me give you the heads up.
I don't think so.
By the way, Matthew Fulton is watching live, apparently. It says he joined. I don't know why he's not here in the panel.
Because we don't want him to come in.
Yeah, we're not going to let him in today. A little prankster. All right, so daily cash flow. The other thing I used to do, just kind of plain and simple, Larry is asking me, in the Facebook chat, do I have a separate course for e-commerce or is it only in the 97 up? Actually, the course for e-commerce is available to the 25 and up subscribers. So, and that's, by the way, that's kind of the rule. If you're looking at the courses on my site, unless it actually has the phrase 97 and up in the title or its description, it's available for 25 and up. So, and there's only a few courses that are exclusive to 97 and up. There's the main course, which is actually called 97 and up, or Accounting Business Academy, my 97 and up project. That's the core course that you kind of essentially, or at least initially sign up for. And then we have the twice weekly calls and everything. All the other courses are available for $25 a month. So it's that. The 97 and up ones are that core course. We also started doing like a book study on how to write copy that sells, and that'll say 97 and up in there, so you'll know that's exclusive. And then the episodes, the recordings essentially of the weekly calls that we do is also in there as a course, and it says 97 and up episodes. So again, if it says 97 and up, then that means it's exclusive for 97 and up only. Anything else is available for the low, low price of $25 a month. And if you act today, no, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so that's that story real quick. Let's see what's going on in the, I lost my mouse in the live feed here. Okay, nothing. All right, so short-term cash flow. The other thing I would do in the past is, and this is kind of overly simplistic, but it works. I actually, this is part of one of my courses. It's called, it's like reporting for bookkeepers or something like that, I called it. Where you run a check register report in QuickBooks Online, and then you run your unpaid bills report, let's say. And then what you do is on the unpaid bills report in a separate sheet, you kind of put a column alongside where all the bills are listed. And in that column, you're indicating what to pay. And you either set it equal to the full amount of the bill, or you key in if you want to make a partial payment. And then you total that column and flow that back over to the bottom of your check register report, so that then you have a running balance in the check register, which adds up all the bills you think you want to pay this week, and then updates you as to what the balance is going to be, the projected balance based on what bills you're going to pay. And you can do something similar with your accounts receivable, where you list your AR on a report, and again, a column to the side, you add up what you feel very certain you're going to collect this week, and flow that total over to the bottom of the check register report. It's a quick and sort of dirty way of getting at what cash flow should look like. Just very narrow picture, short term. You know, we're in a crunch. We want to make sure we can cover payroll this week. You know, here's what you do. But like I said, the reality is you can now go to cashflowtool.com and you can plot it out just that specifically, you know, just going into the cash flow calendar. Would anybody like to see Cashflow Tools cash flow calendar?
Sure, let's see.
All right, let me go log in. Cashflowtool.com. Oh, poo. All right, here we go. I'll share my screen before I forget. Actually, pulling that off screen for a second because I have clients who are going to show up in there.
Hey, Seth, while you're pulling that up, do you still use, I mean, of course, I'm assuming you still use your big cash flow tool, or cash flow projection that you've taught us over the years, right?
Yeah, I have clients whose whole service with me is based on that.
Okay, got it.
All right, here we go. So we've got cash flow, you know, Mike, Mylan, and Finagraph have been kind enough to give me access to kind of their sample account here. But if we go down here to the cash flow calendar, first of all, it shows you, so as of today, we're starting with 123,000 in the bank, right, as of January 11th. It shows you on this calendar, when it goes red, that means we're hitting a threshold. In this case, it means we've gone negative. You can change that, by the way. You can go into settings here, and you can actually update the starting cash. Let's say you don't have time to update QuickBooks, but you know you want to start with it, or you want to start with what's in the bank rather than what the QuickBooks register says. So you can actually alter that. And then here you have different things you can turn on or off that are being used in the projection, right? The different bank accounts and things. And then here's the heat map. So this is actually configured to show when it goes below 10,000, no, 100,000, sorry. This is configured to light the map up in red when it goes below 100,000. So you can change that, because, you know, to say I just want to see it go red when it goes negative, you know, it might be too late by the time I learn that we've gone negative, right? But you can go in here and I can click in and I can change any of this and I can add items, right? And or you can zero something out. If you know that this is, because we're in the cash in part, If you know that, hey, Jimmy's showroom, this money's not going to come in this week, you can zero it out for now, right? And then you go down and then cash out. In this case, we have one item for cash out. So the ending cash, I guess at the end of the day, is 162. So that's what we're going to end with on the day. So the starting cash is really from the previous day going in, right? And then the cash that you see here is the ending cash for the day based on Cashflow Tool's prediction of what's going in and out. So this is probably the quickest way, because if it's already linked to QBO, then all you ever have to do is update to get it up to date as of today, assuming QBO is up to date. And this works with desktop as well. There's a desktop integration. So this is maybe the best or quickest and easiest way out there now to get a quick look at what your short-term cash flow is going to look like.
Now, Seth, I have a question about that. So, you know how you were doing those manual kind of updates in case you don't want to, like, if there's something that happened, like right now, and it hasn't updated in QuickBooks yet, you can manually do the change, which is what you just did. When you click on update, it's going to replace that?
No, update actually just updates the, it pulls the latest data over from QBO. If you click reset, the reset button will go back to all the default values.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You are welcome. Welcome. Red Rum. Who's here? Good morning, Alicia Katz. Matthew says, maybe I'm there, Seth, in a disguise as Linda or Sonny. That's actually very funny. It's actually really, really funny. He's looping a video feed of Linda. Okay, let's go to the next question. Anybody else have any questions or thoughts about the short-term cash flow question?
I have a question on the tool itself. I mean, it's been a while since I've used it, or Flight or whatever it was. I mean, there's an accountant's plan, is that right? And is there the monthly subscriptions?
Yeah, I mean, just go onto the site and look at their pricing. But Dennis, especially you of all people, you have pretty good access to Mike Miley, and he lives in your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
So definitely reach out to him and talk to him, because he'll help you get set up with, like a partner program. Like I have an affiliate link, so if you are going to sign up, please feel free to use my affiliate link. If you ever want to know like what my affiliate link is for anything that I recommend, just go to my website and there's a partners page and you'll find all of these tools. Anything that I have an affiliate link for is there.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're really feeling lazy, just email me, because I also have it all sketched out in an Airtable base, which is it's now called my apps mosaic.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a list of everything that I have an affiliate link for, so I can quickly find it and email it to you. So do me a favor and do that if you are going to sign up.
Okay, I'm trying to find some time, but I've got some clients who could actually use this.
It's a really cool tool. If you haven't had a look, like I said, do go have a look. I just showed you the cash flow calendar, but these dashboards are also awesome. And I did a video as recently as this week on a piece of this where I was talking about looking at accounts receivable turnover, right? And in this executive summary, you'll see cards that help you analyze that. You see the current ratio, right? 1.9. That means they have enough current assets to satisfy current liabilities almost 2 times over, right? That's probably pretty good for most companies. But like I always say, good is relative. You can compare yourself to the industry, but to me, the most important comparison is yourself now versus yourself tomorrow, right? What are we at today and where do we want to be? And there's Mike. They have lots of little videos throughout that explain things. So if your clients don't understand the stuff that well, not to worry. And all of these cards have this explain this option, which will open up to a video, usually of Mike. And don't you just love Mike? I love this one, the top 5 overdue customers. So these are like the top 5 customers that don't pay. So if you're trying to increase your accounts receivable turnover, I go over this in the video I put out this week. This is a good one to look at to see who needs to get a phone call, right? So, and then you have the speed of cash dashboard, which is all the stuff that has to do with improving or managing cash flow. And then here you have the all cards feed, which is just everything you could possibly want to look at that they've made available so far. And I believe they're going to be continuing to add to this. And then here you can customize your own dashboard and include just the cards for just the things that you really want to see. So definitely give cashflowtool.com a look, especially if you have any kind of concerns or needs or wants around managing or better managing cash flow. All right. Let's go to the next question. Where am I? Okay. So here's a guy, and I'm glad we have Sarah here for this one. Do you all include 1099 processing as part of your monthly package, or do you bill extra for it, and how much? So let's, I'll share my screen so you can see this post. It's from Greg. Right? Do you all include 1099 processing as part of your monthly package, or do you bill extra for it? In my case, I include it because I have monthly fees that I set at what I feel is pretty high compared to most. And so it's just the whole idea is to make it all inclusive, which becomes in itself the selling point when the client's considering whether or not to work with me. The more I start telling them, yep, that's included, yep, that's included, the more quickly they get sold on my services. But of course, that only works if you are charging a healthy fee, something that is, let's put it this way. My feeling about pricing in general is this. If you're not feeling at least a little uncomfortable about asking what you're asking for, then you're not asking for enough. You should be like just about pushing that limit of, I'm not sure I even feel comfortable asking for this. That's the amount you should ask for. Anyway, what say you all?
Most of my annual work is rolled into monthly fees. I'm accruing it all year.
Mm-hmm.
But we still do review type clients that maybe quarterly or once a year. We just a handful that are payroll only, or we never see their books, but yet they come to us with their books that they've done themselves and say, will you do our 1099s?
Mm-hmm.
Those I will bill out. I have very specific processes for that, and I charge.
Mm-hmm. So you get people who just come to you and hire you just to do their 1099s?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
But I won't do them unless they pay me to wade through their books and make sure those 1099s are correct.
Right.
I don't just type 1099s. I will not do that.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah's like the 1099 queen. She's all over Facebook answering every question on 1099.
I have drafted out an ebook for 1099. I just can't. I need to get it done. And then I got to figure out what to do with it when I finish writing it. Because don't we answer the same questions every single
Yes, you do.
Yeah, we sure
But then
do.
you're working on 1996 this week too. Something.
I know. And that, I know. It's like, 79 is, and people are like, oh, I was in high school that year. Oh.
Or I wasn't born. That was my favorite.
I wasn't
Sarah,
born.
I'll pay for that book once it's done. So let us know when it's out there.
Yeah, I know. I mean, because we need a resource that is in clear language. What do I do if this?
Yeah, and we need one that it's, everyone just likes the steps. Like, just tell me what the heck the steps are, because I do it once a year, and I don't remember what I did 11 months ago.
Because what I'm documenting is how I test and what I'm looking for. And that, I think, is very valuable. But here I am on the 11th of January, and I'm not, should have been done months ago. I got a little sidetracked on an embezzlement.
Yours? You embezzled something?
No.
I told you this was a good month for fraud.
It's a good year.
Blowing up. They're like, aren't you involved with so-and-so? And I'm like, Can you say anything? We saw police there this. Oh gosh.
All right, next question, because this has been kind of beaten to death. There's an extensive thread from this week in Facebook about 1099s at large. In addition to Greg's post, there's another.
Let's solve it. What's the question?
Let's solve it. All right, so next question. This next question is right up my alley. I'm going to bring it up on screen and share my screen again. This one is actually from Mariette herself. She says, content creators, have you written an ebook technical guide and or self-published on Kindle? I would like to create a short technical guide this spring 2019 and would appreciate your input on recommended steps and resources. Thanks in advance. So, Mariette, are you still here with us?
I am.
Are we talking specifically about, when you say ebook, do you mean like a book that's published and available on the Nook or the Kindle, or like even a PDF that you might sell on your website?
Both. So, I mean, I love the question. I didn't even know if you're going to pull that one up, but I mean, it was funny Sarah just mentioned that. So I think a lot of us have opportunities that we can just take, our steps, our guides, our checklist, our knowledge, and throw it into something.
Mhm.
I actually want to write a book. That's one of my goals.
Then I don't know
A
where
full
to go.
book. But I want to do first that ebook, kind of something someone can grab on a Nook, Kindle kind of thing. So I don't even know where to start. I just am like, where do we start?
See, we have all this knowledge and we know how to get it on paper, but then what do you do?
Yes, exactly.
There's
That's right.
there's a book that I know Doug Sleater, I think, was recommending years ago. It's the acronym is APE, which is author, publisher, editor, and I think it's from Guy Kawasaki. That may be the ultimate resource for you, Mariette, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this because I'd have to get Doug on here to confirm. But yeah, here it is. I think this is what Doug used to learn how to publish books that he published under the, for the Sleater Group. So it's a book that Guy Kawasaki wrote about how to get a book published. So it's APE, which is author, publisher, editor, is what APE stands for. And the website here is apethebook.com. So.
Thank you.
And it's an actual book, like we can buy, or is it just a website?
No, it's a book. It's
buy the book. Let's
buy
buy
the book.
Look, you might as well drink your own Kool-Aid. If you're going to write a book about how to write a book, you damn well better publish a book.
I better buy oh no, I'm all about buying books. So
You better buy the book.
I'm buying the book.
I bet you write a chip.
Just a heads up on that. I had an update. I posted that same post, if you guys, anyone that is interested in this topic, on my personal profile, and I've gotten about 7 different responses from people that have written guides, books, and published books. They've given me a lot of great resources. So obviously I'm going to add the same resource onto that post. So if you want, Sarah, I can tag you on it. But there's also an actual conference, a weekend retreat. And there's 2 ladies that basically are publishers, and they've gone into now doing these like traveling retreats where they go to your city for a weekend, and they teach you exactly this on how to go from like writing to publishing. And so I'll go ahead and put that link too. But so those are a couple other resources that I found.
By the way, this is a little bit tangent to this, but I think it's another similar question, Mariette, that you asked elsewhere recently about setting up webinars and things. And we were talking about this in 97 Up recently. I couldn't for the life of me remember her name. And then I saw it this week online. I was like, oh, crap, that's who it was. And it's Amy Porterfield. Also has some great resources.
I get her newsletter.
What?
I get her newsletter.
Yeah, she's got some great content about how to, I took a webinar of hers about how to produce webinars. And it's really good. Her story is she used to work for Tony Robbins, and she used to help him put together all of his conferences and things. And then at some point she just kind of went out on her own, and she shares her knowledge and expertise. And anyway, so amyporterfield.com, and you'll see some great resources for her.
And since I'm Matthew today, he said Sarah Laidlaw should release that book under TBX Trial Balance Exporter as a value add for accountants. And there's a lot of people that want to buy your book, Sarah, so you better get on it.
Oh.
That's true. That's very smart.
Yeah.
That's smart. See, I'm an accountant. I don't know these things.
Yep.
My brain doesn't go there. I'm all about detail and how, it's that bigger marketing long-term thing that I blank out. Yeah. I'm listening now. I'm listening.
Thank you, Seth.
You're very welcome. Okay.
Say something is tangent to, does that mean that we're squirreling?
Just slightly, not terribly. I mean, because it does go to producing content, just not quite in the form of a book or an ebook. Yeah. Her content is more about how to put together a webinar, but it's still in the bigger picture. The tie-in is that it has to do with packaging up your knowledge and expertise in a form that you can deliver to others, and heaven forbid, maybe get paid for it. Heaven forbid.
Have been perfect.
Okay,
and you're still sharing your screen, Seth.
I do know that. You should be looking at my Amy Porterfield search, right? There's no porn on here, is there?
Yes, I'm looking at Amy Porter, not Port. No.
Not Amy Porterfield. Okay, good. All right, so we've got her, and here's I was also just checking in on the live. So Keisha Johnson says I'd buy that 1099 ebook. Alicia says I would write that book, but payroll is outside my area of expertise. I guess you're talking about payroll, not
And Alicia
Yeah.
does write books, so she's another great. She was a contributor to that post that I did on my profile on resources as well. So thank you, Alicia.
Right. Absolutely. All right. So next question. I like this. We're getting through a lot of questions today. I love this. Who's enjoying this? First of all, I'm going to stop sharing for a second. I want to see who's enjoying this. Who likes this format?
I like this.
Friday Zoom. Isn't this good?
I like solving things.
Yeah. All right. So next time
Anyone can guess where I'm at? I'm just curious. Anyone can guess where I'm at?
at the Huntington Library.
No.
You're getting a pedicure. You're
Nail
getting a pedicure.
Is there anybody else there? I want to talk to the person in the chair next to you.
She's actually my best friend, the one that's doing my nails. But no, I come actually before they open. So
Oh,
it's
wow, look
super
at you.
quiet and calming. So
Miss
it's like,
Exclusive. Do they
Yes,
have
I
like a waterfall with like river rocks in it?
Hurt.
no, I go for quality. I don't care what's around me. I care who's in front of me. And so
Wow.
that's how I work. Yeah, that's how I go. So if anyone wants to make a little opinion on how I do my nails, let me know in the private chat. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Okay, so next we have a question from none other than Laura Sabay.
Mm-hmm.
Some of you might pronounce it Sabah, but I've
Is
heard
it
her
Sabay?
pronounce it. It's Sabay. That's how I believe I've heard her pronounce her own name.
I don't know.
Sabay. The word looks like Sabbath to me. So in my head, I actually call her Laura Sabbath.
Yeah, so do I.
Not to be confused with Black Sabbath. That's something
All right,
else.
what was your question?
You actually want me to read and answer the question?
Well, is that what we're doing?
Yeah, that is kind of what we're doing.
Seth.
I'm being silly. Let me bring her question over onto the screen. I've got all these tabs open now. So she says, downloaded a CSV from Amex, and the data format was 1/5/2018 space MUN. I could not find a way to change the format to exclude the day of the week for import into QBO. Nothing worked. I also tried to change to text and ended up searching and replacing to get rid of MUN, Tues, Wednesdays, and so on. I imagine there is a way I could have done this more efficiently and would love to hear what Seth David does to fix this. Well, I am so glad you asked. So what she's talking about is she downloaded, and there's other variations of this that we get because the format of bank statements sometimes is not that great. Like, don't you love those bank statements where the transactions dates only give you month and day? And so if you're doing a cleanup job from a prior year, it comes in with this year's year instead of the appropriate one. And that's another one that comes up a lot that's actually easier than you think to fix. But let's get her situation down. So she says it's like 01-05-2018 space MUN.
Screen share.
Thank you, Greg.
That's my job.
I know it is. I don't know what I would do without you. And not man, right? That's something else. The Monday man. And so let's just say then we had one, first of all, well, never mind. I was about to go off on a squirrel kind of tangent. 01-06-2018. I know, imagine. All right, so Tuesday, right? So, and just imagine there's a whole long list of these. And we just want to separate the day from the date, right? And we want to exclude the day. We don't need it, right? We just want to get rid of it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go data, and we're going to go text to columns. Okay, and with text to columns, it's just like trying to import a CSV file. It's the same idea. It gives us the same options. So we're going to use a delimiter, and you have to see what's common about where the separation is. In this case, we have a space, and there's no other spaces in here such that using a space would screw it up otherwise. So you have to be very careful about how you choose your delimiter, right? In this case, a space will work. So I'll go next, and there's an option. It's one of the standard space. Notice when I check that off, it immediately finds and puts the separator in to confirm that it's going to split this up exactly the way I need it to. Then when I go next, I'm going to select this column because now you can choose what you want to do with each of the columns. The first one is the date. So I can go straight to telling it, yeah, format this month, day, year. Okay, and on this one, I can just say, do not import. Skip it. I don't need it. Get rid of it. Right? If I don't do that, if I just leave it general, then it will put the weekdays in its own column. But you never need that because there's an easy formula to get the weekdays out of a date, which is another lesson for another day. So in this case, I would say just do the do not import, finish, done.
Done.
All right.
So the quick answer is there are formulas to fix that once you get it in Excel. And then you just went step by step by step. on exactly how to do it. That's great.
Yeah. So again, and if I wasn't slowing down to explain it, it's this fast. I highlight the range or the column or whatever I need.
Yeah.
I'm in the data tab, text to columns, delimited, next, space, it remembers from a minute ago.
Yeah. Boom, boom, boom.
Right?
Yeah, but Seth, really quickly, you said before you import. So actually, this would be after you import to clean it up, right?
No, this is before importing.
This
to
is
clean it up so
before
that
you
can
import.
import.
Oh, this is at import.
This is prior to import. So
Right.
how could you can't import? The whole point is you can't import it like this with the days in there, right? So we've just exported or downloaded this or gotten this from the bank or some other database. We want to import this into QBO or something.
No, okay, I meant yes, importing into QBO. But I'm saying they're doing this cleanup inside of this file before they move on to QBO. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Okay.
the whole point. Is I got to clean
Yes.
this data so that I can import it because I can't import it the way it is.
Got it. Yep.
Yep. So text to columns works a lot of times. A lot of times you'll have something else. Again, you're looking for the common delimiter. Like what I've also seen a lot of is you might see something like this where it's always got a dash in between, right? So this is what you almost hope for because now you have an easy delimiter in the form of the dash. So I can go text to columns. When I go to the delimiter, instead of a space, I go to other and I just hit the dash and it knows exactly what to do then, right? So you have to find something that exists and only exists at the exact point where you want to split something.
It's like account name and numbers in QuickBooks Desktop that has that dot.
Yeah, exactly. Right, and then because now I'll have a column of pure dates. Now, by the way, if it was one of those that I described earlier, where it has this year when really it needed to be last year because I'm doing a cleanup job, first you clean the date column so you have them in a proper date format, and then a quick search and replace. So I can say find 2018 and replace it with 2017, replace all, and in 2 seconds I've got my dates converted from this year to last.
Hey,
Right.
Seth, I have a question totally, it's about this, but are you doing your Excel classes in Santa Monica again this year?
Mm-hmm. Next ones are in May.
Okay, perfect. Let us know in advance. And the other thing is there any chance you're going to bring a special guest by the name of Matt to it, which would be pretty amazing?
That's
Just
up to
throwing it out
Matt
there.
if he wants to go, but I can't sort of bring him to teach there because I'm contracted with the college, of course. I would have to get that cleared with them, but I would love it if Matt were there.
That would be amazing.
Matt says yes to everything, so he'll go.
Okay, cool.
Oh, I can say yes because I'm Matt. He'll do it.
Okay. All right. Ask Matt if he's willing to just on camera for our entertainment stick 9-inch nails through his eyelids. I'm just curious.
He'll do anything. You know that.
Anyway, so and on that date conversion, by the way, just be careful because sometimes you're doing these cleanup jobs and it does cross over into the current year. So if you're doing that, make sure you only highlight the dates that are supposed to be from last year and then do your search and replace on the year. And when you're doing that, you have to search for the full 4-digit year and replace a full 4-digit year because if you try to do the 2 digits, you might end up replacing some days in the middle of the month somewhere. Right? Like the 17th will get changed or the 18th will get changed to the 17th. So you got to do the full 4-digit year when you're doing that search and replace. So that should answer Laura's question.
One little thing with Laura, we're talking about American Express. Doesn't American Express post export on the day of the post, not the day of the charge? Because if I can get both dates, I will select the date of the charge to import into the books. Anybody notice that?
Wait, say that again?
All right. American Express typically exports their transactions with the date they posted it, not the date of the actual charge. So they charge something on Friday night, it may go in with a Monday date on it.
Right.
I think all banks actually do that.
A lot of credit
credit
cards will
cards?
have 2 dates. They'll have the
We'll have
charge
2
date
dates.
and the
So
posting date.
I like to see the data so that it has 2 dates, so I can pick the date that I want for book purposes.
Yeah.
It's especially when I'm working with federal grants and the grant covers a trip that was from this date to this date, and then I'm trying to submit credit card receipts that were like
Yeah, but isn't it well
2 days
understood?
after the trip.
Isn't it well understood that can happen? That are they really going to like give you a hard time about
Yeah.
something like that?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
yeah, it's
This is
horrible.
why I don't do nonprofits, Sarah.
But I'm just saying, every time I see the word American Express, I go dates.
Right.
That's why you need vendor sync, Sarah.
Yeah. Use vendor sync. Speaking of which, let's go to the comments. So Suchi says, me, but we love everything you do, Seth. Am I right? Thank you, Suchi. Matthew says, vendor sync logo on your pointer finger. I need a vendor sync logo on my pointer finger. I think that was directed at me. Sometimes you need to make a unique delimiter by determining what you need and doing a find and replace. For example, if you had a lot of spaces in the line, you could change 2018 to 2018 and the little up pointing thingy. I forget what that's called. There's a name for it.
It's
anyway.
a carrot, right?
What?
The carrot?
Yeah, the carrot. That's it. Thank you, Greg, once again.
Yeah, Greg.
Yes, the little up pointing carrot. Suchi says, smart, Matthew. Matthew says, oh, and of course, I'm certain if you're importing into QuickBooks Desktop, you're using vendor sync to enhance the process and save time. If you're wondering what Matthew's talking about, he was just on giving us a demonstration of vendor sync a couple weeks ago. So just go on to nerdenterprises.com and go over to the prior Zooms, and you'll find his vendor sync one very recently. Alicia says, bye, everyone. Have a great Friday. And Matthew just confirmed carrot. Yes, 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 carrot. Carrot. This is a 14 carrot webinar. Okay. We have time, I think, for one more.
Can I interject in between?
Please do.
For Linda Artisani, you just got a Mariette hat from Intuit.
A what?
I got a Mariette hat.
A Mariette hat? What do you mean?
I get the Intuit hat with the.
Oh, you mean the fedora?
Yeah, yeah. I had to ask for it, but I got it.
Yeah. It threw me when you said a Mariette hat. You mean the fedoras that they gave out to some of us?
Yes. Well, not some of us. Mariette especially.
No, I got one too. They gave it to the people who are part of the meeting.
No, but it's a Mariette hat because I wear that hat. Like, it's all about me. Hey, Seth, that's taking you out. It's a Mariette hat. Let's just be okay with that.
Exactly.
Can I throw something out? Of course I can. All right. So Mark and I are on the Citrix ShareFile Customer Advisory Board. We are driving to Raleigh next week. If anybody has any wishes, gripes, anything about ShareFile, ShareConnect, please contact me so I can bring that information with me to Raleigh. And the other is I have a C-level meeting with Mineral Tree at 4 o'clock today. So if anybody works with Mineral Tree and has wishes, or doesn't work with Mineral Tree and has wishes or gripes or anything, let me know. So I've got the ear of 2 organizations that I'd like to hear from you.
So Citrix, I understand the consensus is better support.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Yeah.
Okay. Do we want to do one more question?
Yeah.
This next one's kind of a fun one. And since I know that apparently Suchi is watching us live, this is one of hers. Let's bring it on. This was kind of a fun one too. She says, this really takes the cake. Just got an email from a client saying he will accept my price increase, but is asking me to, quote, promise there will be no more price hikes in the next 5 years.
Crazy.
So my answer to this was, yeah, just tell them if you want me to lock in for 5 years, we need to actually increase the price increase now to something like double the current price. Because if you want me to lock in for 5 years, it needs to be a major price increase.
And I want to know who else agreed to that.
Who else agreed to what?
Did anybody to agree to that?
To mine?
No. For Sushi's client, the answer is, who else agreed to that? Did anybody?
Well, I wonder if that client is okay with locking in his rates for 5 years.
Yes, a couple people posted comments along those lines here on this thread. So, but Gina, for some reason, I'm missing context somewhere when you say who else agreed to that. Who else agreed to what?
When she's talking to her client, ask the client what other of the client's vendors agreed to that.
Okay.
I mean, really, are they just asking you, or do they think that you're like really gonna do it?
Are they joking? I think they're joking.
I don't. I had a guy tell me, well, when I gave him the price, he's like, Well, I was thinking more like 300. I said, well, then I guess you need to find somebody else because I'm not going to take $300 to do that job. He had like 12 bank accounts. I said, there's no way I'm doing it. First of all, I told him my starting rate was higher than that.
Yeah. Got to have a minimum. Set your minimum and do not vary from that, period.
And this isn't, I'm not in the negotiating here either.
Well, I was having a conversation with an online colleague the other day about how much time we waste, or how much time should we invest in dealing with these negotiations? Because sometimes, if you, in hindsight, you go, I sure did put a lot of effort in that, and I didn't get anything out of it.
You probably don't want them as a client either.
You have to really do your due diligence and make sure you're talking to the decision maker and all that other stuff. So, it comes with experience.
Yeah. When you're first starting, you pretty much take everything, but as you get more,
but even after 30 years, my negotiating skills suck.
You know what? Negotiating is actually a lot easier than you think. It's pretty simple when you break it down. You decide what you want and you stand by that, period. And you don't falter.
That
helped me.
Yeah.
Well, I have to wonder though, do they ask other people these same questions, or is it just us? I get that. Well, I say that because I've had, I don't know, as a woman, people ask me things that they wouldn't ask a man. Really?
I'll tell you this. It's definitely very noticeable because I have Erica doing so much of the work that that we as a company do for our clients. It's become very clear. Erica sort of pointed out to me, and at first I'll be honest, I don't know that I completely believed it until I actually saw it with my own eyes. But she can ask a client to do something, and they don't take it seriously. When I come in and ask them to do something, they jump and do whatever I ask them to do.
That's exactly what I mean.
And
exactly.
So I've started to. How many of you have watched The Walking Dead? Like recent seasons? Okay, so in the recent seasons of The Walking Dead, they had Negan, right, and his group they call them the Saviors, right? And one of the dynamics of the group is that, and it's clearly his way of making sure they understand, like, they're all one, they act as one. So in the group, when they're out there dealing with anybody like Rick and his crew, everybody's name is Negan. They're all Negan. The point being, I'm either Negan or I represent Negan. In other words, we're all the same. So I was joking with Erica. I said, that's what we're going to have to start doing at Nerd Enterprises. Erica's going to have to go out to the clients and say, I'm Seth, right? So if I say something, it's law, just as every bit as much as if Seth said it, right? Assume that Seth is saying the same thing as I'm saying. That's what I've kind of, started working with her on as far as how we have to go out to clients. We have to get the clients to understand that if she's saying something, it's because she's an extension of me. It's because I've worked with her on this stuff for years now, and I trust her. And I trust that she is telling clients to do something because it's exactly what I would ask them to do.
I'm a mother bear if somebody doesn't respect one of my employees.
Yeah.
Because they are an extension of me. Exactly.
And it's not necessarily blatant disrespect, but it's like they don't.
Yeah, it is.
They don't
it's a
take
perception. It's a perception.
Yeah, the difference is when I say it, they just listen. With her, they'll like argue and say, "Well, can't we do this instead?" Or can't, like they second guess.
That's a lack of respect for her.
Yeah.
For her.
It is. You're
level
right.
of knowledge.
Yep.
Now if they're just talking to it's very clear the roles. If somebody's just data entry, but they shouldn't be given advice anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's funny too.
I will fire a client in a heartbeat.
Just this minute, I had a client ping me in Slack saying, "Where's my December updates?" Now, mind you, for the last month, Erica has been in Slack asking him for all kinds of things that we need. And he just it's like none of that happened. He just comes straight to me. Why isn't December updated yet? And so I had to write back to him while you guys were talking. Well, you have to go back and respond to the 100 or so things Erica has been asking you for, and you've been largely MIA. I told him that point blank. Mm-hmm. Don't come and ask me for updates when you haven't given Erica what she needs. Because again, Erica is me, right? That's why I've hired her. I've hired her to be me because I can't do all this myself. And I hired her because I trust her, which means client, you need to trust her. You need to trust that I trust her and let that be. So I think I'm just at this point in life where I'm getting older and grumpier, and I just have no patience for this stuff. So when Erica comes back to me and says client's not listening, I start giving the client hell, because you're right. I back my employees. I back my employees are my partners. That's how I look at them. That really is how I look at them, and that's how I treat them. I treat them like partners in the business, plain and simple. So that is my story. I'm sticking to it. But so that was a classic one from Suchi on the question of fees and saying, it reminds me of,
got funny. I mean,
it reminds me years ago, I had a client who was a very aggressive sort, and more than a bit of a bully. And it was like the second time I was going to start working with the guy. We had parted company once and came back together, and I should have known better. But I remember, at the time I was charging like $85 an hour for bookkeeping services. And he was like, well, can we do anything about the rate? And I said, no, we can't. And he says, well, I'll guarantee you hours. And I said, all you're doing is guaranteeing me that I'm going to be making less money over those hours. Meaning I can get 85 an hour all day long. I don't need your guarantee of hours to make a living. He's just assuming. The guy was so freaking arrogant that he was just assuming that I would be grateful for, oh, I'm so grateful you're going to give me more hours to pay me less to do all this work for you. No. And I could tell he resented my response. He didn't like that because he didn't like people standing up to him in any case. But also it kind of hit him over the head with the obvious logic that a lot of us miss. A lot of us would take that and say, oh, okay, as long as I guaranteed the hours, I know I have this much coming in every week. No, I'd have more coming in without that guarantee of a lower rate times those hours. Right? So that's the thing.
He doesn't value the work.
No, he's just trying to get the cheapest deal possible.
Yeah, that's all.
And the thing is, what pissed me off even more was I know that he knows damn well that I bring a lot of value. He's just trying to get that value cheaper, right? He doesn't respect me.
Thing I hate. That's
What?
the negotiation part.
Yeah, but there's an easy way to deal with that, which is to do exactly what I did with him, which is to stand fast.
Stand him up. Yeah.
Years before that, I had a guy who in our initial meeting asked me, at that time I was charging $40 an hour. And I remember the guy in this hotel lobby where we met, he was asking me, is there any flexibility on the rate? And I said, no, I'm already too busy as it is at $40 an hour. And, he agreed to do the 40 hours an hour. And then when I came in to his office the first time to start doing the work, he said, by the way, I had to talk to my partner and, explain to him that you weren't, willing to budge on the rate. And he said, and just by way of a little feedback, he said, I told my partner, you must be really good at what you do because you wouldn't budge on your rate. So you see the perception that creates? It creates a perception that I value my own work. I'm not going to falter and charge less just because somebody's asking me to. And what it does is it instills confidence. It actually makes them more confident in you when you don't agree to lower your rate. And if they end up walking away, which that's always the fear, oh, well, I won't get the business at all, and I just won't have any of that money, right? The truth is, I like this way of putting it the other day. I don't know if I heard this somewhere, if it just popped into my head, but when you take a stone out of your hand, you make room for a lot more feathers. You know what I mean?
I like that.
When you remove a stone from your hand, it makes room for a lot of feathers, right? And those feathers are the clients that we really want, the ones that are easy to deal with, that do value what we do, that aren't going to give us a hard time about our rates because they know it's worth every penny and more.
And respond.
And respond?
And respond when you ask them for things.
Yes, exactly.
Team.
Respond.
You have to be a team.
Yep.
You have to work on it. You have to be a team, not subordinate to, you're just this taskmaster.
And remember that the client hired you for your expertise. I'm surprised how often I see people who are apparently struggling to get what they want from the clients or to get the client to do things like use Slack or whatever. I don't ask them. I tell them. My whole approach and philosophy and my whole energy around the service that I offer is one of, you hired me for my expertise, therefore I'm going to tell you this is how we provide our service. All of our clients come into Slack with us. It's not a question, it's not a discussion, it's not a negotiation. This is how we do it. And if you don't want to do it the way we do it, then you don't want to hire us. You want to go hire someone else.
Oh, I want to tell you something that drives this home.
Mm-hmm.
New director of a existing client does not want to have anything to do with our practice management tools, where I have nobody's in emails. Okay. Oh, no, it's gotta be right. And so I've been butting heads with him on this because this is not an option. So, yesterday, so I have to point out how his idea failed because there were some tips that should have been paid back at the beginning of December. So he shows an email that says, I told your bookkeeper back in December. I said, really? Well, those tips should have been reported here on the payroll. They should have been, first of all, you should have never taken a check for tips anyway. You took it when you shouldn't have. It was not reported properly, and you posted it to suspense with no memo. So I accept no responsibility because obviously it got buried in her email. And I said, and if she gets sick and I need to step in and do her job, I'm not waiting through her emails. I said, so this is why I forbid my bookkeepers to do business in emails, because it got buried in a silo. And so I haven't heard from them because I fired that off this morning. But see, you almost have to prove it to them. Why, some arrogant people, why it's so important that your systems are put in place for a reason.
Yep. Yeah.
Sarah, I think he's afraid of you now.
Yep.
That's why you got silence.
Let's review the comments real quick. So Suchi put up the monkey covering eyes. I assume that was when I brought up her question. Matthew says, Sarah Laidlaw, that is the best use of social media to help our industry. Great question, and thank you for being our ambassador. Suchi says, no, they weren't joking. Referring back to her question about the client who wanted a 5-year lock. Matthew says, my suggestion is to add in a clause that adds any retail price increases to your service providers will be added to the monthly charges, then set your costs high. See, I just include most of the apps in the service and set the price high. And if I find that the prices of the apps I'm paying for are creeping up on me, then I just increase the fee. And you can do that every year when you're renewing your contract with the client, right? That's the time, and you increase the fee. Most of the time, if you increase your fee by a measly $100 a month, that will probably more than cover the additional cost of all the apps you're paying for, right? For any apps. Diane Muller says, great suggestion, Matthew Fulton. Kristen joined. Hello. Sarah, I guess you joined the live feed as well. Hello. And Matthew says, hey, everyone, it's Chris Wise of QBox's birthday today. Happy birthday, Chris Wise. Everybody wish Chris a very happy birthday. And on that note, we've gone over by almost 15 minutes. So I'm going to wrap up. I don't want to hold people hostage. We mentioned a lot of links and resources today, so I will make sure I get those all included in the show notes when I post the recording of this, which will be posted on the website tomorrow. And for those of you who aren't in 97 and Up, join 97 and Up. We're going to be actually meeting at the Huntington Library on a Friday soon, to be announced, as a group based on the Go Live that I did this week, where I talked about productivity and changing your surroundings and finding new and interesting places to work at. And the Huntington Library is the first one we're going to do it as a group in 97 Up. So join us so you can be there with us on that day.
Are you going to do a Zoom for us, those that can't attend in person?
Yes, we will definitely go live from the Huntington Library for those that cannot attend. Okay. And the park doesn't open till 10 o'clock where we're going. So it won't, like the actual Friday Zoom that we're doing that day is going to be done just as normal, but then I'm going to race over to the place where we're meeting and we're going to go live from there. It'll be nice.
Awesome. Okay.
All right. Goodbye, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. Don't forget to join Gina's Hangout later today. Go to SBAA on Facebook, Small Business Accounting Advisors. They'll talk for a half an hour, then they'll go live after having decided what to talk about. Gina, we'll see you all this afternoon. It's 2:30 Pacific.
Thank you. See you then.
Bye.
And Harriet, happy purple.
Bye.